Hi everyone, welcome to another digital class at basicgrey.com. This time we're going to be creating this layout here, and I'm going to be using 3 different items from the store and the elements that are inside each kit. The first thing we're going to be using are the Hang 10 patterns. Also, the textures kit has some torn edges in it, and I'm going to show you how to use those torn edges, and then I'm going to implement it on the layout. And then I also have a little arrow tag that is from the a la carte selection. So the a la carte items are individual items from the collection that you can buy separately from the other kits. So it's a really great way to get a taste for the collection, or maybe just to pick and choose a few elements that you'd like, but you might not want the whole kit. So I'm going to jump right in here and we'll start on this layout. As usual, I'm going to minimize it so I can get it out of the way. We're going to start by creating a new blank file. The size will be 12 inches by 12 inches with a resolution of 300. Okay, so here's our page that we're working on. I've got this pattern down here that's open in the project bin, and I'm just going to click and drag that up into the document. Now you can see in the finished page over here that it's kind of a lighter color. I did that for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that kind of a light cream color is easier for type to be on top of. So if you want to use one of these patterns from any of our digital kits, but the pattern is a little bit too busy, you can try to do what I'm about to show you how to do now. It might make it a little bit easier to put type over top your paper. Okay, so I'm going to come up to Enhance, Adjust Color, Adjust Lighting Levels. And I'm going to take the little white arrow over here and I'm going to kind of drag it over. And then I'm going to take the middle, I'm going to drag that over as well. That just sort of lightens everything up. It makes it a little bit easier to see. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we're going to add some photos. Now these are 2 photos of my nephew, Andrew. And I'm going to show you a couple tricks on how to get a white border on your photo and have it be perfect, have it be a perfect white mat around your photo. So I've got this one right here, and the finished size is going to be 4 by 6. So we're going to go ahead and use the crop tool, and we're going to change the size up here to 6 inches wide by 4 inches tall with the resolution of 300. Then I can drag, happens to be the exact right dimension, so I'll just hit the green check mark and it makes it larger. Okay, so the way to add a white border around this and have it be perfect is to come up to Image, Resize, Canvas Size. Okay, actually before we do that, I want you to take a note of something down here. Down here in our colors, the background color is white. That's the color that the border is going to be when we change the canvas size. So it's already white. We hit Canvas Size. And right now it's currently 6 by 4, but I'm going to change it to 6.25 by 4.25. And so it just made the canvas size bigger, the image size bigger, but keeping the photo the same size. And so it just centers everything. So I'll hit Enter to lock that in. You'll see that it added a perfect white border around the photo. So I'll get my Move tool and I'll drag that into our layout. Put a nice border on it. Okay, now we'll come to the other photo and we're going to crop again. And this time we're going to make the width 2 inches and the height 3. And I'll just crop that. And we'll do the same thing, Image, Resize, Canvas Size. And we'll just add a 0.25 onto it. That makes it so both of these photos have the same border size. Okay, so I've got that. Now we're going to add some pattern papers behind the photos. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to drag this down and I'm going to rotate this one just a tiny bit. Bring it in like that. Okay. Slide those over. All right, now we're going to bring in the, let's bring over the green paper. So I'm going to select the background paper because I want the green to go right on top. I'll click and drag up into our document. Okay. And I'm going to use the select tool, and I'm only going to grab a small section of the paper. I only want about that much. So I'm going to come up to select, inverse, and what that does is it just takes the opposite of what's selected. So I'll go like that, and you'll see that it now has the top and the bottom selected. So then I can just hit delete, and it gets rid of everything outside the area that I wanted. Okay, now we're going to take the blue pattern, and we're going to drag that over top. And I'm actually going to put it behind the green so I can see the size relation. And I'll do the same thing I did before. I'm going to get an area that I want, and then I'll do the inverse and delete. Okay, I want the blue on top of the green, so I'm just going to drag that up right now. Okay, now it's time to add the torn edge to this blue pattern paper, and this is really cool. I don't know that I've ever seen this anywhere else, so it's pretty new to me. So it's one of these textures files that comes in the Hang Time collection, and it's a layered Photoshop document. And inside the document there are two layers. There's one layer that's black, it's this one right here, and there's another layer that's white. And the white is kind of like the inside of the paper when you tear. So when you tear paper, you can kind of see a white edge. So this effect is really cool in a digital layout. I'm going to select both layers and click and drag them into my document. And I kind of line it up on the edges and pull it down to about right there. Okay, now we need to kind of put the blue pattern paper on top of the black layer and use a clipping mask to snap in the pattern inside just the black area. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I did that with just right click and then duplicate layer. I'm going to drag that on top of the black, and then using the key command of Command G on a Mac, or if you are on a PC, that would be Control G. And it just put the blue pattern paper inside that black area. Now, you might see a little bit of a white hairline underneath here, right here, but that's actually just the computer displaying the document. If you zoom in, that little white hairline isn't there at all. So no worries, just zoom in if you see something there and make sure it's not there on your final file. Okay, so I've got this area, but I don't want the pattern paper up above. So I'm going to go down to the blue pattern below the white, and I'm going to delete that area, and it just gets rid of everything I don't want. Okay, so now we're going to add the yellow pattern paper. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag the yellow paper up on top of our layout. I'm going to put it down below the green so I can see the area I need. Okay, so I want just a thin area of the yellow, so I'm going to select what I want. I'll do select inverse and delete what I don't want. Okay, and then I'll just use my move tool and drag that down. I want a really thin line right below it, so I'm going to duplicate that layer. Once again, I'm going to do right click and then duplicate layer. And I'll drag that down below. And I'm going to rotate it actually, so I'm going to mouse over the corner until you get these curved arrows, and I'll click and drag it around, and it should kind of snap into place if you hold your shift key down. Okay, hit enter to lock that in, and then I'm going to use my selection tool to delete, oh, hello, wrong one. The rectangular marquee tool to select an area to delete. Okay. All right, now we're going to add our sentiment and our type. I'm going to select both of these photos and just move them over a little bit. Okay, so we're going to be adding this arrow. So I'm going to click and drag that up here. This arrow is available for purchase in the a la carte section. Make it a little bit smaller. Okay. And now I'm going to add the title. I'm going to click and it's going to say all smiles. And I'm going to make that larger. Okay. And to get it green and have a little texture in it, I'm going to click and drag the green paper up over top and then use Command G to clip it into that area. Alright, and I'm going to add some more type. Alright, I'm going to add some type over here in the area over on the side. And it's going to say September 2008 right here. Okay, and then up here I'm going to do click and drag to add some type. Okay, I'm going to add some shadows on all these different paper layers. I'll start with this one. I'm going to change it to, let's see, 10, 5, and 30. Actually, we'll make that 40. 10, 5, and 40, okay. And then you can right click on the layer and say copy layer style. And then on all these other paper layers, you can do the right click and do paste layer style. And it will add the shadows to all the layers that you need. Okay, so that's the layout for this class. Thanks so much for joining me, and you can catch more classes and tutorials over at basicgrey.com in the BGTV area of the website. Thanks for watching.